สวัสดีครับทุกคน Hello and welcome to lesson 7. Ajahn Nathan here today. And today we're going to be talking about describing photos again. But this time we're going to focus on the present tenses. First of all, let's start with a review. When we talk about photos, remember that we're talking about the photos as if they're happening right now. But sometimes we do need to talk about what's happened before the photo was taken. So for example, in this picture, we talked about there being a crash and the passengers evacuating the aircraft. But these both happened before the photo was taken. So let's review. How do we say that? The small plane has crashed into the ocean. We say has crashed because has is a present verb and has crashed makes it present perfect, which means sometime in the past, but we don't know when. Or for evacuate, the passengers have evacuated the plane. Again, have is the present verb. Have evacuated makes it sometime in the past. So the small plane has crashed, the passengers have evacuated. However, today we're focusing on now. So if we think about right now, let's look at some action verbs of some things going on right now. For example, hold and climb. Let's start with hold. Have a look at this woman here. We could say that the women are holding on to the wing. Are holding. That's our present continuous tense. Now let's look at climb. How about this man right here? The man is climbing into the aircraft. Is climbing. Again, our present continuous tense, because these are happening right now, and they're actions. So let's look at the grammar. For the present continuous tense, we use the following forms. We have verb to be and ing. So in the photos, we likely only use the third person. He is doing something, she is not doing something, they are not doing something, etc. Let's look at some examples. First of all, what's this man doing? We could say the ATC is looking through the binoculars. Is looking, verb to be with ing. How about these girls? What are they doing? And how about her? Well, we could say they are crying, but this person isn't crying. Are crying. Isn't crying. How about this one? What's this? We could say the marshal is wearing a yellow safety vest. We treat wear as an active verb, so the marshal is wearing. And lastly, what can we say about these? We see life vest here, but none here, so the passengers aren't wearing life vests. Again, wear is our active verb, and we make it negative. However, for pronunciation, we often do this. The ATC's looking through the binoculars. They're crying. The marshal's wearing. We notice that these are contractions, so we put the verb to be with the subject. However, in these negative expressions, isn't crying, aren't wearing, we usually put the contraction with not. Isn't, aren't. Now, sometimes we also use the present simple tense in English when we're describing a photo. We do this with states or stative verbs. A stative verb are verbs that express a state rather than an action. They usually relate to thoughts, emotions, relationships, senses, states of being, and measurements. For example, if we talk about thoughts, I believe in ghosts or I don't believe in ghosts. These are present simple. Or for emotions, I'm happy, I'm not happy, I feel confident, I don't feel confident. These emotions are also states. We wouldn't say, I am being happy or I am feeling confident. Or for relationships, this pen belongs to me. This pen doesn't belong to me. Present simple. We wouldn't say, this pen is belonging to me or this pen isn't belonging to me. Also for senses, he sees the accident. I smell gas. She doesn't hear you. These are our senses like sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. We usually use the present simple tense when talking about these. So, let's have a short quiz. Are these verbs action verbs or state verbs? First, let's look at wear. As we mentioned before, wear is an action. She is wearing something. Belong. Belong is a state. It belongs to Thai Airways. Verb to be. Be is a state. It is a 747. Smile. Smile is an action. He's smiling. Shine. Shine is also an action. The sun is shining. Park. Park is also an action. It's parking at the stand. Taxi. Taxi is also an action. It's taxiing on the runway. Have. Have is a state. It has two engines. How about look? Well, actually, look can be both. There are many words in English that can be both actions or states, depending on how you use them. For the action, we see he's looking out the window. To look is to do something, it's an action. However, it looks like a 747 is basically saying it seems like a 747, or it appears to be a 747. This is a state of being, not an action. So, if it's the action, continuous tense. He's looking. But if it's the state, present simple tense. It looks like a 747. Now, let's get a little practice. First, we review. What happened before this picture was taken that's important? Right, collapse. So we would say, yes, the nose gear has collapsed. How about belong? Belong is a state, so we'll use the present simple tense. The aircraft belongs to Southwest Airlines. How about when describing the color? Purple, red, and orange. Yes, we use the verb to be when we're describing colors, so we'll use the present simple tense. The fuselage is purple, red, and orange. Now we're talking about the police. Police we use as a plural noun. If we want to say ตำรวจอยู่ we would say the police are on the scene. Now what about look? We want to say police officer because we're talking about this guy right here. And we said look is an action verb in this case. So the police officer is looking at the aircraft. How about this? We want to talk about the lights. The lights on the police cars flash. Is flash a state or an action? It's an action. So what would we say? Right. The lights on the police cars are flashing. Now let's look at one more photo. What's happening here? First of all, let's look at the verb watch. Is watch an action or a state? You can think of watch to be just like look. It's something you have to try to do, so it's an action. So what should we say? Yes, the ATCs are watching a basketball game. It's more than one air traffic controller, so ATCs are watching a basketball game. Now how about see? Remember that see is usually a stative verb, so we're going to use it in the present simple. So what would we say here? The ATCs don't see the near miss happening. Now, how about this one? If we want to talk about excited and distracted, these are feelings or states of being. So which verb should we use? We'll use the verb to be. And we said already, verb to be is a state. So what would we say? Yes, the ATCs are excited or distracted. The ATCs are excited. The ATCs are distracted. So that's it for today's lesson. In the near future, we'll continue with more practice about describing photos, talking about weather, and talking about some other ideas. So thank you for your time. I wish you all a happy Songkran. สวัสดีปีใหม่นะครับขอบคุณครับ